Another week in the NBA begins with the players literally getting ruled out moments before the show starts. But of course, our work will continue on the Splash Play channel as it always does, because we're going to compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see what my projection data looks like, what theirs look like. We'll look at the ownership as well, see what that all meets in the middle to come together as. We'll also run some sims on Stokastic, see what their data thinks without my involvement. You'll know all the top plays, you'll know all the top values. And by this video, you also know my Splash Plays for today's NBA slate, November 10th. Let us get into it here. Let me drop this video a retweet, but I hope it was a good weekend for you guys. Saturday did not have a video, but of course my projections do update that day because I'm doing live before lock for Stokastic this Saturday. So far, I guess this NBA season, probably most of the season I'll be doing that. And basically, it was a Luka Doncic slate where you had no Austin Reeves. You had a matchup versus a Hawks team that was also missing quite a few starters. And Luka Doncic got his ass kicked, got smoked on Saturday. He was a 100% play for me. He was also owned, I think, by 60% of the field, something like that. And it probably should have been a little bit higher for him. And Luka somehow failed as a guy who had a 75 fantasy point projection for me. So, we're going to lick our wounds from that. Not that it affects most of you guys, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have better things to do on a Saturday and play an NBA slate. But it has been chaos in the NBA season to start the year, so we'll see how it goes. Appreciate being called the GOAT. Thank you for the kind chat. Hit that like button for Spags out here working his ass off. I am indeed. And I appreciate you recognizing it. Appreciate all you guys who watch these videos. And shout out Rick for, here we go, Rick joining the channel now. Shout out to the new members as always. Of course, if you join the channel at the $5 tier, great to support the show. If you want to get access to all the data I show you here on screen, including my projections that I update all night long, you can also get those for yourself on the Squirt Squad tiers. This very screen I show you, this one as well, where I go game by game, you get versions of that for yourself if you want to join those tiers. But shout out Rick for joining. Appreciate it a bunch. You missed the football crying? What football crying? No football crying. There's no crying in football. But your top projected players right now, Luka Doncic is it again. Austin Reeves was questionable. Now he's probable. He went through shoot around for the game today versus Charlotte, so he should be back in. That's what's keeping Luka Doncic from having the crazy 75 fantasy point projection that we did have for that Saturday slate with no Austin Reeves. Luka this year, some of the court time with Reeves, some of it without. He's averaging 1.8 fantasy points submitted on a respectably good, certainly maybe a little bit due for regression, 63% true shooting for Luka Doncic. The point is he is getting a ton of usage, 39% usage rate, 46% assist rate, so killing about 85% of the possessions when he's on the court. It's huge possession time for Luka Doncic. I also have the football emoji. That's it. You missed the football crying. That's what you meant. I am too stupid to understand. I thought I switched it. Hold on. Where's our media assets? Yes, here's the basketball. And it's not crying, for the record. It's splashing. It's splashing. There we go. Yes, we got the basketball up. I appreciate you calling me on that indirectly. But for Luka, point is he's playing well enough. He and Austin Reeves both project pretty well. But the big issue I would say for my data, which is of course, weighing this year a little more heavily than some of the longer term sample size that a site like Stokastic will give you, I'm sure. Same thing for ETR's data and all that. Luka's had games this year where he's played without Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves has also played nuts in games without Luka Doncic. Both their projections are a little bit loftier as a result because of the fact that they've kind of had these ideal situations. So Luka for me, a 64 projection. Stokastic has him at 61. I'm happy to get 15% here, even though I do think if you're to project him closer to like 61, 62, it's probably a little bit more fair for what the situation is today with Austin Reeves taking a lot of possessions away himself. Giannis, we got 13% expected ownership in him. For him, rather, I got him at a 59.3 projection. Stokastic has him for 60.4. So Stokastic basically has Luka and Giannis dead even. I have about a 5-point lean for Luka. So that's going to be one of the key differences today in the data. Yeah, that said, not a ton of ownership for me or for the field. 13% expected ownership for Giannis here, as you can see on the screen. Giannis playing against Dallas, who is a league average defense. Luka playing against Charlotte, who is bad, and I don't think getting much better with LaMelo and Brandon Miller off the court. Maybe a little of a maybe slight upgrade, but probably not enough to matter too much in the data. I would say for Giannis, the big thing is that Luka, well, technically the pace is a little bit higher for Giannis's game. I think it's just that Luka's produced incredibly well to start the year. Giannis has produced really well, but a little bit less well. But I think really you want to have these guys similar projection like Stokastic, similar ownership. I think that'd be fair. But right now the field's expected to have 2x the amount of Giannis. I think it should, to me, favor Luka, but at the very least, I would say just flatten it out. Try to get equal amounts of Luka and Giannis today because they should be very similar plays. Look at the better tournament play based on Stokastic data. Yeah, if you're getting half the ownership, I mean, I think that's fair enough. But really, like in terms of what they represent as plays, the matchups, the projection and all that, they should both probably be 7 to 10% owned. And if more value opens up, obviously it'd be good to get there because these guys are pretty good values despite being the two most expensive players on the slate. Wembanyama, I'm just not with right now. You've taken Dylan Harper out of the lineup, but now you're adding in De'Aaron Fox, who's taken a good amount of shots away. He's had a 25% usage rate for himself to start the year, 17% assist rate. Stephon Castle holding on to a 26% usage rate himself. That's going to creep down a little bit as Fox continues to play more, but you have guys who are taking shots away from Wemby, and that does include some guys like Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan. These guys historically do take more usage away than they are. All of them right now under 20%, but in a given game, they can take more shots away from Wemby. The net result to me is that Wemby, I think, is a pretty good tier behind Luka and Giannis on the slate. I would have Wemby at a 53.8 projection. Stokastic has him at 54.5. But again, tournament play stuff, like Giannis will be owned a little bit, it seems. Luka will be owned less, but still owned a bit. Wemby at 1% ownership. If he goes nuts, it should be a thing where nobody's going to be there. The question is, like, can he go nuts enough? Really has to feel like massive block upside, something like that, because the shots just aren't going to be there as much with the Spurs. Just having a lot of bodies now, and when they get Harper back in, it's only going to get worse. So Wemby, we know the ceiling's always there, but at 11.9, like, Giannis is cheaper. It's crazy. Josh Giddey, another guy who looks a little bit better for me than Stokastic, 48.9 fantasy points. Stokastic has him at 46.7. He's on the other side of that Wemby matchup, and certainly Giddey in a competitive game. There's a bit of a push-pull there where if you play Wemby and Giddey together, maybe you get that right, but that would be an incredible amount of money to spend on one guy who doesn't project super well. But I think the game environment, not bad for Giddey, 237.5 implied total. Obviously, it wouldn't shock me if he gets swap blocked by Wemby a few times. Giddey's a little bit loose at the rim, I guess is the best way to say for a guy that I don't think is particularly good at getting a shot up against guys like Wemby. But the assist upside's huge for Giddey. The rebound upside, huge for Giddey. Triple-double threat in every game. 5% ownership for the field. I think he's another compelling play here. Price tag at 9,700. I don't think people want to chase for Giddey. Giddey's also a Q tag right now, too. So if he doesn't play, ton of production opening up for literally every bowl, but in particular, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter would look a lot better. I think Vucevic would look better for me. So Giddey, a really important player right now where he's interesting tournament fodder if he does go. And if he doesn't play, the Bulls have a ton of value because Giddey plays so much and has so many stats. Like, it's going to go a lot better for everybody around. Duren should be a 9K player. Well, we're almost there, so I'll save that chat. But yes, based on the rates so far, you can make the case for sure. But James Harden playing on your late slate, not something that will be affecting me today, but I do have him at a 47.5 projection with Kawhi out yet again. Kawhi going to miss the next few games due to an ankle injury. Cade Cunningham. I am low on Cade here right now, though. So right before the video, Tobias Harris got ruled out again. Isaiah Stewart also ruled out. Cade and Duren should both come up the projections as a result. Big issue I have with Cade, and I was trying to figure it out, like just looking at the underlying data. So like for me, I have Duren and Cade projected pretty close every slate lately. For the most part, that's looked pretty good, except that Cade keeps hitting, pretty good ceiling. The assist upside has been really big for him. He's averaging per 100, 12.9 assists. But, in terms of the points these guys were scoring, both he and Duren per 100 possessions. This year right now, Cade is scoring 33.8 points per 100. Duren is scoring 33.2, which feels kind of crazy given that Duren, very limited offensive bag. A lot of his stuff depends on just getting shots at the rim. But he's getting those shots at the rim. He's going to the foul line about as often as Cade is. 6.2 foul attempts per game for Duren, 6.8 for Cade. The net result is that Duren, to me, looks a lot more similar to Cade in terms of how he's producing. But Cade, the longer-term sample size, like Cade also has rebounded more historically. This year, he's seemingly deferring entirely on rebounds to Duren, who's got a 23% rebound rate. Asar Thompson, who's got 12. Isaiah Stewart's got 15. Cade's at 7. So Cade is now not pushing for triple doubles, but he's got more reliable assist upside. His usage is still really good, over 30%. The point is that Cade's low for me here. I think he'll come up to 50 plus no matter what, because of now we're going to take out Isaiah Stewart, we're going to take out Tobias Harris. And Cade does gain in usage overall when Tobias Harris is off the court. It goes from about a 30% usage rate this year to about 33 and change. So Cade's going to look better, but I think no matter what, Duren's going to look like a much better play. Duren is the mega chalk though, 48% ownership for the field. That's only going to go up with Stewart out. Like, you're now losing the big minutes threat for Duren. Duren could still get in foul trouble, I guess. But in terms of like the minutes on the court, Duren's not going to give up, 20 plus minutes to Paul Reed, usually, unless he gets in a really bad foul trouble. So for Duren at this point, very chalky, looks like a great play. Cade's going to look better, but I don't think is nearly as important to play on the slate as Jalen Duren is. Austin Reeves, field's going to be at 16%. I'm getting him at 34. Like we talked about, he had some time without Luka where he went absolutely nuts, 50-point games, all that. He's still very good overall when there's no Luka or LeBron, so that's the main thing here. Nobody else in the Lakers really does anything. DeAndre Ayton occasionally, but the ball's either going to be there for Luka or it's going to be there for Austin Reeves. And certainly, wouldn't have expected the Lakers to get smoked by the Hawks on Saturday. I didn't expect it to get smoked by the Hornets here, but in a competitive game environment, getting Reeves back in, that'll help too. Reeves, a good play. Luka, I think a good play. I want to be above the field on both of them. And I think you can play them together, but I wouldn't be opposed to saying max one, because I think with the way projections work out right now for Reeves and Luka, they're both kind of reflecting a time period where they went off in large part because the other guy wasn't there. Love Reed. Reed definitely is going to be a lever against Duren. I mean, Duren is going to be so owned, and Reed is at, Paul Reed, that is. He is at 3,300. You would really, though, you would need Duren to get hurt or get in foul trouble, I think. I don't think it would just be a simple, the minutes. So they decided to play Reed a little bit more because he's playing so well. But, it is NBA DFS. Guy can get hurt a million times over. Not to jinx Duren, who I'm sure will be in whatever lineups I play tonight. That's certainly one way to play it, but try to play definitely with the field on Duren, I think, no matter what. Devin Booker, 5% ownership for the field. I'm getting 3%. You do have Jalen Green out, hurt his hamstring again. That is not great because that was the injury he just had. And Jalen Green was looking pretty good for the little bit that he played for Phoenix. Devin Booker gains from that. The bad news is he gets Dillon Brooks back in. And Dillon Brooks has been a 30% usage rate guy on the year. He thinks he's a legit offensive player. Still holding on to 27.5% with him being back to the rotation. 1.1 fantasy points per minute. The results is that Dillon Brooks actually projects pretty well for me. But Devin Booker, I think, eats a little bit on that because of the fact that Brooks is back in. So Booker, he is playing the Pelicans. Pelicans, one of the worst defenses in basketball, giving up about 121 points per 100 possessions. One of the worst defenses getting in the league. Them, the Wizards. There's a few more that are similar. Hornets, I think, are pretty close. But how it is for Devin Booker, projection not there really, but the upside's there hugely, especially if the Pelicans keep it close on the back of Fears, Trey Murphy, whoever can get hot there, Derek Queen. Paolo Banchero, 13% ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 5. You do have no Jalen Suggs in today, but Desmond Bane to me looks like a much better play at his price tag. Desperately due for some positive regression in shooting. Orlando does have a matchup, though, that is pretty soft on paper, going against a Portland team that's given up 49% field goal shooting from the field. Still not terribly inefficient in terms of defensive efficiency rating and all that, but you're giving up half the shots being made against you. For a guy like Banchero who shoots pretty poorly, that can help him out a lot. So tournament upside for Orlando for sure. Banchero at 9,300 though. I'd rather play Austin Reeves straight up, but Banchero can always spike a ceiling, but he's owned appropriately, I think. Drew Holiday, as we've talked about a few times on slates where Portland's been available, Drew Holiday playing at a really good rate for himself, especially compared to that Boston stint where he kind of gave up on playing offense. But he's got a 36% assist rate on the year, 22% usage, 1.14 fantasy points per minute. A little bit under average in terms of true shooting, so maybe that gets better for Drew Holiday even. But Drew right now, the big thing for him is that at a certain point, I think Shaedon Sharpe plays better, and that'll take a little bit away from Drew. But he's out there at 7,600, playing about 34 minutes of the projection set here. I think he looks pretty good at 3% ownership. But certainly if you take that longer-term sample size, the Boston time, and weight that evenly, you're going to get less Drew Holiday because he kind of went into the wallpaper last year for Boston. Now in Portland, though, I think he's back to auditioning for one more shot at a payday, kind of Drew Holiday. Gonna sort by value here, guys. And again, if you get any value of this video, please do help me out. Hit that like button and subscribe. New videos here Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. every day, East Coast time. And of course, I do the best I can to show you guys my data, prepare everything in advance for you guys, but also show you guys Stokastic too, so you get a read on what one of the industry's biggest providers will be doing for people today playing the slate. I think it adds value. I know from a lot of you guys leaving comments, it seems to for you guys, but please do show some love. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button to try to keep building this channel up here. It's the biggest NBA channel, and I won't stop. No, I'll definitely stop before it's number one, I think. I don't have the ability to get to number one anyway. I don't even know what the number one NBA channel is. Probably is Stokastic, I would guess. Yusuf Nurkic, 65% sim ownership in their top 150, or my top 150 with my projections on a Stokastic sim. Nurkic had 32% ownership. Minnesota has not put out their injury report as of the show. Let me make sure that they weren't in the 130. Because if they have not put out their injury report, there is stuff to watch out for because they're on a back-to-back. Gobert played like 34 minutes. That would make me feel a lot better about Nurkic. Minnesota, no injury report yet. So for Minnesota, or for Nurkic rather, played Minnesota the last time that Utah played, had a pretty mediocre game, had like, I want to say 13 fantasy points in 19 minutes. Minnesota also blew Utah out, so he didn't get his fourth quarter stint either. That hurt Nurkic's outlay a little bit. I think he only played 18 minutes. I could just probably pull up the popcorn machine so we have a visual aid for it. But here's the last game. Nurkic here starting, again, playing his normal run of minutes, then just doesn't get the fourth quarter stint, ends up at 19 minutes. If he plays a little bit better, if he also closes, he's got a shot at getting to 30. So for Nurkic, you have two factors going today. Number one, are the T-Wolves playing Gobert? Because I think if Gobert is not in, I feel a lot better about Nurkic, who just stylistically a better match, should feast against the Naz Reid as opposed to Gobert, who's going to be in that same range, making it hard on him. But number two, like, who else is not playing for the T-Wolves? If the T-Wolves are also like lacking Edwards tonight, lacking a bunch of guys, you get that better shot of Nurkic being in for the fourth quarter run. So I think for Nurkic right now, it's a lot of ownership. If the T-Wolves are full go and you get Ant in, you get Gobert in, I maybe want to tamp Nurkic down. As it is right now, though, getting 2x the field here, and Detroit stuff might move this around too, because Detroit was still in this data set when I ran the sim. Jalen Duren, we've talked enough about already. He's playing like a monster, rebounding like crazy. Usage is high. He's scoring as much as Cade Cunningham per 100 possessions, as we talked about. For Duren, he is going to be a very quality play, and if he gets in foul trouble today, we can all off ourselves together. He also is going against Alex Sarr on the other side, which maybe matters a little bit. I guess if Sarr goes nuts here, he does pull production theoretically away from Duren. And I like Alex Sarr, as I've talked about in pretty much every video lately. He is playing like a new version of himself. I actually, as opposed to last year, I enjoy watching Alex Sarr play. And he can draw some fouls. So Alex Sarr, just something to put out there as sort of another counterbalance against Duren if you don't want to play Paul Reed. Derek Queen, really well projected for me here because he's been playing like a monster. He's had 7 and 8 assists in 2 out of the last 3 games, which is kind of crazy. Bad news for Derek Queen, though, is you get Yves Missy back in, so the rotation can get a little bit weird. But Queen, basically, the last few games, again, we'll pull up the popcorn machine because visual aids, never a bad thing. So for you guys out there, they're trying to get better at this process here. Popcornmachine.net is this site if you want to see how rotations look. But basically, last game here, no Yves Missy. You still have Kevon Looney starting. You then have Carlo Makovic coming in for some amount of time before they bring in Queen. Then they go with a double big lineup here with Makovic and Queen. Queen comes out. They go back to Looney. Same thing second half here. Looney starts. They go to Makovic. Then they go to Queen, and Queen plays the entire stint. It's possible that Queen, number one, that he doesn't close. He has closed a lot of games lately, but he can still not close. Number two is that if Yves Missy comes in, the minutes equation could get different. They don't really want to play Kevon Looney. I don't even know why Kevon Looney's on the team right now, given the guys that they have there. But they don't really want to play Kevon Looney. They might want to play Yves Missy more, but Yves Missy's been sick, so like I don't know how that goes. Would love to see Yves Missy be out if I'm going to play this much Derek Queen, but I've got him well projected today. Again, he's been producing in every category. I've got him at 52% ownership, fields at 15, but I'll feel less good about this, and I think the number will come down for me if Yves Missy is in. I'm just going to try to knock it down manually. Drew Holiday, we talked about, to me a little bit cheap for the role he's been playing, but certainly that longer term sample size going back to Boston where he was, just not involved enough It's not going to look as good. Jeremiah Fears, real fast, back to the Portland popcorn machine. Jeremiah Fears, he closed the game. That's fantastic for us Fears lovers out there. But Fears closed the game here. Alvarado seemingly played fine enough, picked up a foul, but they didn't see the reason to bench Fears for it. I don't know if it's a one-game thing. Obviously, the big issue with Jeremiah Fears lately as a chalky play has been that Alvarado can take minutes directly away from him. They are still sharing just 48 minutes. But Fears at 35% owned, I think just that ownership alone could maybe make you want to play just a little bit of Alvarado today. Certainly, too, Trey Murphy went nuts last game. If Murphy does soak up a ton of usage again, that's another way that Fears might not get there. But Fears finally getting a shot to close the game, not losing minutes directly to Alvarado, and a tough spot against the Spurs, too. And Fears wasn't like playing, out of his mind or anything. It wasn't like he had to really earn that closing stint. I think it's a good sign for Fears, who really has been inhibited by Alvarado taking minutes away and the Pelicans just kind of wanting to go with the stronger guy who plays better defense and doesn't chuck, I guess, as much sometimes. Austin Reeves still a top value for me. Again, the projection's a little bit lofty, though, because of the court time without Luka. Ivica Zubac, good value play if you are playing the late slate. Desmond Bane at 6,100. He's only shooting 52% true shooting on the year. That's due to get better. This is a guy who was a pretty good shooter last year for Memphis and in his career overall. He's also putting up 4 threes per game. Would love to see that be a little bit more. But facing a team today that doesn't play particularly great defense in Portland, again, does give up a high field goal percentage, even though the three-point shooting is basically dead even with what Orlando shoots normally. I think Bane is due for better days at 6,100. He definitely, though, in terms of his role, he is number 3, I would say, by a decent clip behind Banchero, who is now like number 1. Franz is less of a 1B this year. I think he's pure number 2. And then Bane at a 21% usage rate and a 21% assist rate. He's number 3, getting decent assist upside too. But Bane, just really for me, the thing is he's going to shoot better. So when the price tag keeps coming down and the matchups aren't that bad, being with the field on Bane at 23%, getting a third of your lineups with him like I have, I think not a bad thing. Alex Sarr, I like again here, really do think he's your most direct leverage on Duren, or playing him with Duren as well, maybe gets that ownership product down, especially if I knew that Rudy Gobert was starting today for Minnesota. I might get less Nurkic, more Sarr, try to play things that way. But Sarr was one of those dudes I was not big on coming in, so it wasn't my priors. Thought last year for Washington, the beginning of the year, he looked like he just didn't seem ready for prime time. Thought he was going to be kind of like a pure defender / rim runner guy. As the year went on, started hitting some threes, started to assist a little bit more. Now there are times this year where like the offense runs through him. He also in blowouts, which is great for Washington, plays in the fourth quarter, did over the weekend, has in previous games too. That was on a back-to-back. He got back out there, I think, on Friday night in the fourth quarter against Cleveland where they were down a bunch. It was an NBA Cup game, so that might have been why. But Sarr is getting out there a good amount, including on back-to-backs, playing high 20s to low 30s minutes. And now we're adding, some rebounding upside, some assist upside, some block upside. I think Sarr is a really good play today. And in general, until that price tag comes up, I think at some point this year, he might end up being high 7s, 8K if he really runs hot. I think that should be a certainty. Sarr, to me, just one of those guys, 6% ownership might matter a lot on the slate. He and Drew Holiday will be 2 of my ways to get unique in some of my lineups for sure. Anthony Black, we have no Suggs today, so Anthony Black should pick up the start. He's going to be a distant number 4 behind 3 guys who take a ton of possessions away, with Banchero, with Franz Wagner, with Desmond Bane. But Black at 4,700 has upside. 25 fantasy point projection isn't winning you any medals. He's not fantastic value, and if better value opens up, I think Anthony Black's probably the first guy that comes out of lineups. But he'll play, and he's cheap enough that he allows you to get some of the more expensive guys. So Anthony Black in 28% of the field's lineups. I'm getting him in 34% of my top 150 right now. And Luka Doncic, despite being so expensive, is still technically a top value for me. But, we've talked about that. We're going to go game by game here. One more ask, guys, though. Please do hit that subscribe button, hit that like button here. If you want to see the data I am showing you here on screen, join the channel here. $5 just to support the show. But if you want my projection data, the matchup sheet that I show you here as well, join one of the Squirt Squad tiers, and you get both, depending on which tier you join. So check it out. Of course, I do update my projections throughout the night. Even when I am dead on a slate, I try to make sure to get the updates in for the late games, too. So Monday to Saturday, if you want my projections, they're updated. Sundays, though, is the Lord's Day, of course, aka NFL Day, so none on that, none on Sundays. Lakers 120.5 implied points here, and Stokastic data you're seeing on the screen too. Get those updates for yourself with that promo code SPLASH over at Stokastic. Let's put that sticker up too, because I always feel bad showing their data without the promo. But of course, they'll update too. So check it out. Promo code SPLASH, link down below. If you just want to see professional data, feel free to do so. Luka Doncic, getting the guy I'm having to stand on here. 6% ownership for the field. I got him at 15. He wiped out his massive chalk over the weekend. Maybe that keeps the ownership even more in check. But with Austin Reeves back in, that's probably enough of a lever against Luka getting too highly owned. Austin Reeves has played really well on the year, 1.36 fantasy points per minute. Nobody on this team above 1 fantasy point per minute right now besides Luka and Austin Reeves. They're playing Charlotte. I think they both can get there. And Charlotte, I think good enough to not get blown out. Not so good that I wouldn't expect them to blow the Lakers out here. I think you play Luka and Reeves together, and that might be a really unique way to play things. It's a lot of money to spend, though. Charlotte on their side, we got no LaMelo Ball. Bridges, though, is going to go. Sexton's off the injury report. Con Knipple looks like the best play. 19% ownership for me. Fields at 15. He does a little bit of everything more when the Hornets are depleted. And he is a guy that is unafraid to get his shot, unafraid to steal rebounds and take the ball up court. I've watched a lot of Con Knipple lately, frankly, more than I would have thought I would at this point of the NBA season. And I've been impressed. He does more than I would have thought. Just kind of thought he was a stand there and get up threes guy. But with the power vacuum, with no LaMelo out there, getting more shots up. Bridges, the usage has not been as good this year as it was previously without LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. You have Sexton now. You have Knipple now. You have those guys trying to get some shots up. Kalkbrenner, probably 1-to-1 for Mark Williams, and take a whole lot more away. But Charlotte in this spot, I think they are now appropriately priced for life without LaMelo. Besides Knipple, who is shooting guard, small forward, and I think is playing a little bit better than his price tag today at 6,300. Portland, Drew Holiday, we've talked enough about here with their 116.5 implied point total. Drew playing at a 1.14 fantasy point per minute pace. Probably going to shoot better at some point, accounting for the matchup, the team total, and all of that. I would have Drew averaging 1.27 fantasy points per minute today. But certainly, I think Shaedon Sharpe seizes more of the offense at some point. But Drew's playing a lot of minutes. They need his defense out there, and he does still take a lot more usage and assist upside in particular than he did for Boston. Denny Avdia, I don't think a bad play, but only 4% for me. Fields at 7. Not really much to note on Portland. You're getting a little bit of Kamara ownership, barely any Shaedon Sharpe ownership. At a certain point, Shaedon Sharpe will break a slate because he's gunning still, and he's getting paid a lot of money, and he's due to shoot better. But against Orlando, not really the spot you expect him to have a ceiling day necessarily. Orlando on their side, you've got 119 implied points. Banchero, not a priority play for me. He's playing well enough at 1.22 fantasy points a minute to start the year here, but really the usage is still down from where it was historically. The assist upside down a little bit as well. It's just a tough split right now with Banchero, Franz, and Bane. But Bane is cheap, so 23% ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 33. Anthony Black, also cheap with no Suggs today. 28% ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 34. It seems like a pay down spot, but certainly if Banchero, if Franz Wagner have outlier days, maybe you could play those guys and not play Bane and Black. I think that would be a way to get some movement against the field here because these guys are pretty chalky, and certainly Bane has failed enough times. Like Banchero and Franz can pay off, especially Banchero. But I think really either playing a ceiling day from Banchero or Franz Wagner would sort of inherently pull away from what the projection is for Bane and for Anthony Black today. Washington, 112 implied points, really only like Sarr on the team today. Cam Whitmore closed the game last time out for Washington, where it was the starter still going. Cam played pretty well off the bench, so it is nice to know that he has a shot to earn more minutes and close games out. But Washington at this point with McCollum, with Middleton in, Trey Johnson getting more minutes lately, Bub Carrington in the mix more lately, Champagnie still in the mix to take minutes. Hard to trust Cam Whitmore today. But getting 2x the field on him. Sarr is really the player that excites me the most. I think you get nice leverage going against Duren here. And Sarr himself is a good player. Having Duren as the matchup too is going to keep him close to the rim. So he'll probably get bullied on rebounds a little bit, but I think the block upside is pretty big for him. And Sarr just doing well overall. 27% usage. Nice 24% assist rate for a big man. I'll say it, playing mini Jokic, playing mini Şengün. If you want to say Şengün's mini Jokic has been my take for a little while, and now seems a little bit better as time goes on. I think Alex Sarr is now kind of rounding his stats more into that form. And Washington has a lot of gunners around him, so it could always kind of flow away. But I've been really impressed with Sarr. And happy to play him too on slates above the field lately. Detroit, 123.5 implied points. I am low on Cade. Right now, the projection set does still have Tobias Harris and Isaiah Stewart in. So when those guys come out, Cade's projection will move up. Duren will also move up. I think Duren's going to be even chalkier. Not a crazy thing here, but the projection might make him really hard to fade. If Duren gets in foul trouble, you'll get Paul Reed more, but it's just not really going to be as much of a push-pull where, like, Paul Reed's not going to outplay him and take minutes away like Isaiah Stewart sometimes does with Duren. But yeah, Detroit at this point, if that total holds, let me see if Stokastic updated their minutes and I can maybe import it real fast. Oh, they did update their minutes. All right, let's give this a second here. As you guys know, I hate doing the data updates on stream, but if it gives us a chance to get a more honest read about what a team's going to look like, more honest, more earnest, more accurate, whatever, one of those words. I do try to do that. So let me pull in the team totals again and the minutes update. Nope. All right. Now let's grab this. Let's take out Tobias. Let's take out Stewart. No beef stew. Now let's paste it back in. Bear with me. And you guys usually do bear with me. I feel like the consecutive viewers don't drop when I'm doing this. But boy, it's the most uncomfortable content that I create because I just hate having to sit here. But you're seeing it update in real time. I need to give you hold music. That's true, though. I only have the StreamYard songs in here because even some ones that are supposed to be free, like the Splash Play theme, if you play more than a certain amount of time, it will, like, copyright strike me, which is fucking, which annoys me. I'd love to play a Splash Play theme more. All right, so Detroit updated here. So Cade did not come up exponentially for me. I thought this was going to be more. Cade, I've got at 51, so certainly playable at 10.5. I didn't update Stokastic's projections. Fuck, let me do that too. God damn it. I mean, we'll see it in a moment, I guess, as well. But let me update the Stokastic one. Export that. Little pasty paste. All right, now let's copy this one more time here. And we're going to see that Stokastic has Cade Cunningham for like 700 fantasy points. And I'm off. All right, it's pasting. Come on. Let's see it happen here. Did it move? Did the Cade projection move? Am I imagining it? Hold on. Cade, checking their back end. Yeah, Cade 53.2. Okay, that's it. So 53.2 projection. Duren for them is now at 45.6. So yes, I definitely, Duren moved more for me at a 48.8 projection. Stokastic, I feel like they barely moved Duren here. Asar Thompson were dead even on 33.2. They're higher on Duncan Robinson, probably because his Miami rates look a little bit better than what I'm giving him today. They're higher on Levert. I think for both these guys, it's probably the longer term sample size. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's really just I have Duren higher. They have Cade a little bit lower. I have Cade a little bit lower as a result. And they just like Duncan and Levert more. It did move? Okay. I mean, it seems like it had to. You created a bot called Girl Pete, but this is the concept that makes you the most uncomfortable. Yeah, it's just making people wait around while I have to like paste stuff because then I'm worried like my finger's going to slip. It's stressful. Apparently I now have Ron Holland as super chalk as well. Holland's going to gain minutes from having both Stewart and Tobias out, but I don't know that we need mega chalk Ron Holland here. See, Detroit played yesterday. Ron Holland started with Tobias out. And Stewart was out in this one too. Yeah, Ron Holland played 33 minutes. And he's got young legs and a back-to-back. So he should probably play like 30 minutes again. All right, well, Ron Holland, your big winner. Like Jalen Duren looks better for sure. Asard Thompson looks a little bit better. Cade looks a little bit better for me, but didn't go up as much. And Thompson roll an ankle. To be honest, I didn't pay much attention to yesterday's results because it was a football day. But he closed the game out, so I don't think it was anything that serious. And he's not on the injury report that I'm aware of. Yeah, and Paul Reed now playable as well, but would not play Paul Reed with Duren. Would only play Paul Reed in lieu of Duren. Paul Reed's playing well, though. 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Again, if Duren gets hurt, Duren gets in foul trouble, Paul Reed will have a shot at paying off. Cleveland 127.5 implied points here, and hope that was useful for you guys with Detroit. But we got some accuracy in. Cleveland 127.5 implied points. Darius Garland just not projecting well enough for me yet. The $7,700 price tag. Donovan Mitchell also down for me now because of Garland being back in. DeAndre Hunter is holding on to a 27% usage rate, and that is with Garland in lately. Mitchell going nuts since the kid yelled at him at NBA 2K, and that made him decide he needed to be better at basketball. Is officially questionable. Okay, I missed that then. So there you go. He is questionable with the ankle, but he did close the game out. So I would assume he'd be okay. But yeah, it could swell up, I guess. If he gets ruled out too, then everybody looks even better, including old Ron Holland. But especially I think LeVert and Duncan Robinson would look even better. For Cleveland, nothing coming up meaningfully for me though. Getting Jared Allen pretty cheap at 6,200. But relative to the center plays we've already talked about, like he doesn't hold a candle to Jalen Duren. And when I rerun the sim too with Jalen Duren's updated projection, guys like Jared Allen will come down even more. But it's a high total for Cleveland again. Miami is depleted with no Bam Adebayo. You can play Cleveland if you want. It does feel like almost every slate Donovan Mitchell wins somebody all the money at low ownership. So if you want to keep trying that, go nuts. Miami 120 implied here. Nobody above 10% ownership for me. Pele Larson at 4,500, a decent value. But really, Wiggins is not playing as well without Bam Adebayo this year. So far, the usage is creeping up a little bit, but not as much as it did last year. Partly because you have Norman Powell in. Khalil Ware is getting shots up, but he's also not playing super well without Adebayo. Nikola Jovic does gain in rebounds, assists, and usage, but he's not playing enough either. He's mostly your direct pivot on a slate where, like, Khalil Ware is chalky, then Jovic is kind of more appealing because he pulls minutes away from Ware if he's playing well. But Miami's got, like, a not bad total here, despite the matchup against Cleveland. I just don't see a whole lot to love here, and even Wiggins and Jaquez, not even close to the field's ownership. San Antonio 121 implied here. Chicago 116.5 on their side. Wemby, we've talked about, just low on him, getting Castle and Fox as high usage guys in the rotation. Even with Harper out, it's not helping out Wemby's shots at 30% usage now on the year. Wemby can always spike big block upside, but it's hard to project that. So Wemby, to me, the least appealing of the pay-up options, besides the fact that he does project for 1% ownership. Frankly, though, he and Cade now a much closer debate than I think they should be relative to Wemby's price tag. De'Aaron Fox played okay to start the year, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. He's a little bit cheap at 6,900. He'll keep taking opportunity away from Castle as the year goes on. But I'm not super excited about the 19% ownership for Fox, and I presume that'll go away if better value opens up. Not a bad projection for me on Fox, though. I'm not super stoked to play Fox at this point. Chicago, Josh Giddey getting 5%, Fields at 5%. Cade might take some of that away, unfortunately. I like Giddey. Dosunmu, I'm not crazy about as a $4,200 value, but he'll play a decent amount of minutes off the bench. Giddey as a Q tag is really important. If he is out, literally every player will look better. And I think Trey Jones will become chalky. Kevin Huerter will look a lot better and probably start, I would think. Dosunmu probably can't play more than 25 minutes. At least on a back-to-back, that's what his minutes limit is. But everything will look better for Chicago if Giddey is out. If Giddey is in, though, I think it's a fun tournament play. He won't look as good, though, as Cade. Milwaukee, 116 implied points here. Giannis's ownership should get moved around by the Detroit stuff. Ryan Rollins playing well in the year with 1.04 fantasy points a minute. Shooting crazily well, too, at 64% true shooting. That'll come down a little bit. But Ryan Rollins is like a legit NBA player, so if you're not there mentally with him yet, I would say try to get there. Cole Anthony coming off the bench, also playing well, 1.17 fantasy points per minute, but his minutes are always capped by the fact that Rollins and him are only going to play so many minutes together. It's mostly Giannis here, but it's not a great spot versus Dallas on paper. Dallas, I'm getting nothing, so I'll save some time. Brandon Williams plays a little bit more off the bench when Russell's not playing well. Really, though, Russell, to me, not really a play. His minutes have been jerked around. Stokastic now only has him for 18. Klay Thompson also not playing super well to start the year, only 42% true shooting. He might be mostly dust. AD being back in would fuck it up for everybody, assuming that he does play. I don't think Dallas is a spot for anything tonight, but I guess AD, if for like super low ownership, but he looks so much worse than everybody else. And the minutes are probably not there coming off the injuries. Apparently, the team, by the way, did not want to play him on Saturday. Like the ownership didn't want to play AD. Were some of the reports out there because apparently Nico Harrison for the Mavs is like very close to getting fired. So I don't think you'd expect Anthony Davis to hit like a high minutes band, given that AD apparently wanted to play versus Washington, wasn't allowed to. I don't think the minutes get that high. New Orleans, 108.5 implied points. Phoenix, 117. Two bad defenses here. Phoenix giving up 118 points per 100 minutes. Phoenix giving up 121 per 100. I would not play Brandon Williams if AD is in. The usage is gone at that point. For New Orleans, Trey Murphy went nuts against San Antonio, put up 41 real life points, I believe 9 rebounds as well. His usage has been up to 25% this year in court time without Zion. So Trey Murphy, I think, due for better days. He unfortunately, though, took the massive price up after one good game. That sucks. He's 7,900 now. I still have him better projected than Stokastic, about 5 fantasy points higher, and I'm getting him 15% as a result. But Trey Murphy, like, you're really just buying in that the one game was him being fixed. And I like Trey Murphy, so I hope that was him being fixed. But he has been deferring so much to everybody else in the scene lately, and I hope it stops. Herb Jones, still playable at 5,300, but not a very exciting play. My projection's only at 25. Stokastic has him at 26. Jeremiah Fears, I like. He did close last game against San Antonio. That said, Alvarado is a threat to hurt him in any game. Really just comes down to the coach's whims there. And Fears, I like as a player. Just he needs kind of unencumbered run. And if he keeps getting hooked around, he's not going to get there. He's definitely going to shoot better at some point, but he is a young guard, and young guards often can shoot poorly for like years to start their career. Yves Missy being back in hurts the center rotation a little bit, but he's not playable himself. Derek Queen, I don't want to have this much if Yves Missy is playing because we are now adding another big in there with Looney, with Matkovich, and with Derek Queen if Missy is in. But Derek Queen's playing really well, 1.1 fantasy points per minute, a little bit of assists, a little bit of rebounding, a little bit of usage. He has been the big opportunity winner with Zion off the court, but unfortunately they're not playing him Zion minutes, even though he can play like 35 minutes. He doesn't look like he's in shape, but he is in shape and plays through being gassed too in a good way. Phoenix, 117 implied points. Booker looks better because of not having Jalen Green in, but Dylan Brooks has been shooting a lot with 27.5% usage. That's kind of keeping Booker's projection in check. But really, Trey Murphy versus Devin Booker, I think the ownership seems low on that matchup, but in a game here where both teams are really shitty defenses, Phoenix in particular, rim defense is like awful. I think there's something to getting pieces from these games and stacking them up, but really like your high usage guys, Trey Murphy and Devin Booker, if they hit a ceiling here, it just won't be very owned. And Dylan Brooks, I think, playable because he does keep chucking for sure. Minnesota, we need to know the injury guys here. Is Ant going to sit on a back-to-back? It's possible. If he does, Randall's going to look infinitely better and I think would become mega chalk going against Utah. Would love to see Gobert out, but he doesn't often sit on back-to-backs. That said, he played 34 minutes yesterday, so maybe. But really, to me, Minnesota, we need to know who's in and who's out. Ant looking like a decent play for the field. I didn't get him very much, but 25% ownership for the field. I got him at 7%. $8,600 price tag for Ant's really cheap. Utah on their side, getting Markkanen above the field, getting Keontae George above the field. I'm also getting Yusuf Nurkic a lot here. Nurk I have at 65%, Fields at 14. Nurk has been shooting terribly to start the year. That won't last forever. I really don't feel comfortable, though, if we are getting Gobert. Gobert versus Nurk is like not a great matchup. I don't want to be 4x the field on Nurk. If I'm getting Gobert out, though, I'll load up on Nurk when he occurs this naturally in my projection set. That's probably what I'll be willing to do. And our games that are not on the DraftKings main slate, Atlanta, still no Trae Young here, but nobody projects super well for me. Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker look the best. Jalen Johnson's ceiling is also pretty high. James Harden, Zubac look good. John Collins looks decent with no Kawhi in. Atlanta, though, was pretty feisty going against Luka over the weekend, and they did bust that game open in a way that you wouldn't expect. So Atlanta now has more good players in. They're playing the Clippers. Wouldn't be shocked to see an Atlanta upset here. But yeah, Clippers certainly projecting well with no Kawhi. Let's go to the Sims on Stokastic next. We've spent enough time laboring here. And frankly, I am also hungry as shit. So I did not eat a bagel today, which I usually eat in the 1 o'clock hour. And that's making my tummy grumble. But guys, please hit the, if you enjoy your content creator having a rumbling tummy and needing some carbs or something, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Of course, I show up and do the work here, and even when my tummy is grumbling. 2 p.m. Monday to Friday here, Eastern time. Of course, showing you my data, showing you stochastic data, trying to give you guys a good read of what's going to be the good plays. Of course, the NBA can be chaotic, so you can also get my data updated if you join the channel. But subscribe, hit the like button. Goes a long way for me here, and I want to keep us moving in the right direction with the views. They're really cool to see you guys hitting the like button, supporting the content, leaving nice comments as well. But unfortunately, you just got to keep swimming upstream as best we can to keep the viewership up. And check out Stokastic as well. You're going to see their tools here. Their simmed ROI top lineups right now, along with the exposures. But you'll see the updates as well on Stokastic. If you join down below, use that promo code SPLASH. Get 15% off of Stokastic in perpetuity with that promo code SPLASH. It's the best deal they have going right now because it's the only deal they have going. And it does support what I'm doing here, of course, because I cannot do this show unless you guys click that link and go sign up. It's a big way I make the money that I do. I'm able to do this. It is a rumby in my tummy. That's true. Spags the poo. I would take some honey right now. We just don't have bagels in the house. Alex didn't go grocery shopping, and I'm not going to go grocery shopping just to get bagels. So, you know, I'm just going to die of hunger. Yeah, Luka Doncic. So this is just stochastic data. No interference from me here. It was also updated at 2:25. So it's been updated while we're on stream. So you are getting this relatively hot off the presses here. Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves together. I said I like that as a play, and you're getting as your top ROI lineup, so feels validating. Anthony Black makes this one as well. Derek Queen makes it. Paul Reed makes it with Jalen Duren. Jeremiah Fears, Kyle Filipowski. I don't know. I don't love that, but you're getting a lot of players that are good. Luka, Reeves, Anthony Black, Derek Queen. Reed and Duren feels asking a lot there, but I like Fears. Filipowski is a player. Luka Doncic again at number 2. Anthony Edwards makes this one, assuming that he plays. Anthony Black as well, double the Anthonys. Ron Holland makes this one as our value. Paul Reed, Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen, and Alex Sarr. So we're getting double Duren leverage in this one. That's kind of fun. Paul Reed makes it, and Alex Sarr, the opposing center, makes it. Number 3, we have Austin Reeves, Anthony Edwards, Ron Holland. You're seeing definitely some similarities between these lineups. Derek Queen, Paul Reed again, Jeremiah Fears again, Franz Wagner makes this one, and Jalen Duren. A lot of the Reed-Duren combo. Number 4, you have Karis LeVert getting some projection from the various Pistons that are unavailable. Desmond Bane, Anthony Black makes it again. Andrew Wiggins makes this one. Paul Reed yet again. Luka Doncic yet again. Derek Queen yet again. Jalen Duren yet again. And at number 5, we have Austin Reeves, Lonzo Ball, Herb Jones, Ron Holland again, Paul Reed again, Luka Doncic, Derek Queen, Jalen Duren. That's a lot of the double Piston centers. I'm surprised by that. Your number 1 ROI player, in fact, the only positive ROI on the slate and Stokastic's data here is Paul Reed. $3,300 salary, 6.3% ROI. Certainly, he can pay off the price tag in his minutes off the bench. And he is direct leverage against Duren, so I get it. If Paul Reed becomes mega chalk on the slate, it's very weird. Like, if Paul Reed becomes really chalky, it makes Duren a better play because Duren just has to play more minutes as the starter at that point. But Duren's, I'm sure, going to be very highly owned no matter what. I feel like if you were to play Paul Reed and not, he's like 50% owned, I don't know if that's as good of a play as it would be if you're getting leverage on something. Luka Doncic, he's your number 2 ROI guy. It is a negative number, but the directional accuracy is the part we're looking for here. Luka Doncic, number 2 at negative 2%. Cole Anthony, number 3, playing off the bench at 4,900, been a great per minute producer, but he does, face a minute squeeze from Ryan Rollins. Derek Queen, number 4, love Derek Queen, love him more if Eve Missy is out. Austin Reeves, negative 6% ROI for him. He's number 5. Is Queen really a play with Missy in? I mean, I think the assumption really in the data is that Makovich loses his minutes, Looney takes Makovich's minutes, and then Missy is taking Looney's minutes. So the way that Stokastic set up the rotations, yes. The way that it would work out practically, it does feel riskier than that. Is Missy confirmed in? But I mean, Missy's in the data set no matter what, so he's in the data. Highest exposures in the top 150. Stokastic's giving you Paul Reed at 77%, Fields at 22%. It's a lot for the backup, but Isaiah Stewart does leave behind a real role. It's a lot of Paul Reed, though. It's a lot of Paul Reed. Ron Holland, 76% exposure, fields at 58. Ron Holland does gain, as we saw. He played 33 minutes yesterday with the same configuration for Detroit. You know, that said, Ron Holland still, I would have it only 0.88 fantasy points per minute. So I don't think it's a bad play. It's a lot of Ron Holland on the slate at 4,300. Jalen Duren, 70% exposure in these top 150, fields at 48. Luka Doncic, 51% exposure, fields at 20. So Sim loving Luka Doncic and seemingly using the Reed and Holland value to get to Luka more. Jeremiah Fears in 50% of the top 150, fields at 30. Desmond Bane, not that far off as well, 44% exposure. I mean, I like all these guys. The Paul Reed of it all is a little bit more than I would have thought. Paul Reed, your highest leverage player in Stokastic's top 150, 54% leverage on the field. Luka Doncic, 30% more in the field. Jalen Duren, 22% more. Jeremiah Fears, 20 more. Ron Holland, 18% more. And he is in 3/4 of the lineups. Negative leverage plays, Javonte Green barely being played here. Okay. not a fade that I think would have mattered too much, but there are wing minutes to go around for guys like Javonte Green, Duncan Robinson too, Karis LeVert too. Yusuf Nurkic, Stokastic is fading out right here. Negative 9% leverage, only playing him in 7% of lineups. My data does like Nurkic a good amount more. Herb Jones, negative 8% leverage here. Herb Jones, not a very exciting play to me either. Anthony Edwards, negative 7.5% leverage, assuming that he plays. He's going to be 24% owned, but Stokastic only wants to play him in 16% of their top 150. And Grayson Allen with Dylan Brooks in, pretty expensive for that situation. 6,400, Stokastic is fading him, only 1% exposure. Let's build the lineup here real fast. We'll do a hand build. I don't know. Stokastic doesn't like some of my guys, but we'll give it a shot. Go large contest. 25% to first. I mean, I like Luka. Both my son and Luka Doncic. So I'm going to go with Luka Doncic first. I do like playing Reeves and Luka together. I think that's kind of fun. I'm going to see how that works with doing that. Let's put in Ron Holland. We know that the sim is going to like him as value. Power forward. Power forward's a little tougher for me. Looking at one of my different views here. Try to get a read. I guess I would go Derek Queen, which, again, feels a little bit tough if Missy's going to play. But I think that's projections, though. Jalen Duren, I'm going to put in at center. That leaves us 4,300 left per spot. I think Fears at this point, 3,850 left per the last two spots. I need another value. Let me sort by value here. Come on, Excel. All right, point per dollar. If you guys could see how cool my Excel looks right now, oh man, you'd be coming yourselves. You saw these different views. All right, well, we want to forward. Tristan Da Silva is coming up for me. 3,900. I don't love Tristan Da Silva. I will say, though, there's been a couple slates where Tristan Da Silva's hit, and I've not played him as much. There you go. Is Da Silva thing? Yes, Da Silva is unfortunately a thing for me. And we have 3,800 left for one more player. I have nobody who looks good at 3,800. Marvin Bagley. I guess this is how you get to Paul Reed. I fully get what the sim was doing now. Paul Reed, come on down. So we'll leave 500 on the table here for a lineup with Luka, Reeves, Ron Holland, Derek Queen, Jalen Duren, Jeremiah Fear, Tristan Da Silva, Paul Reed. So we have two paydowns with Da Silva and Reed, Derek Queen and Ron Holland as value. It allows us to get the expensive Lakers. 57% ROI. That'll do it. Yeah, Whitmore I don't love, but he would be another value to mix in. Josh mentioned the warning line was weird. Which one? I know he said the Timberwolves one he thought meant that somebody was going to be out, but who knows? That's it for today, guys. I'll give you guys my splash plays one more time. But before I do that, though, please do make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, guys. Goes a long way for me here. Just one dude showing you my gambling for NBA earlier today in the NFL. I had some real dumb shit chats on that NFL show, but you know what? I got through it. Still got the good takes out as best I can. Still showed the process here for building lineups. So it's what I can always do for you guys for NBA, for NFL. So please help me out. Hit that like button and subscribe. Of course, make sure to join the Discord too. $5 to support the channel here. Join one of the Squirt Squad tiers, which is a little bit more expensive if you want to get my data updated throughout the night, my projections, all of that. And shout out to you guys who have joined. Do appreciate hearing some of the good success you guys have had. And if you're not having success, then I don't know, you're not telling me about it. So But check it out. Join down below. My projections hopefully speak for themselves when you do watch the videos daily. And check out Stokastic too. All of their data, the cheap stuff, the expensive stuff, the sim stuff. It's all 15% off using the promo code SPLASH. And that does support the show too when you join via that link down below. Check it out. Promo code SPLASH, 15% off. Or just click the link and go over there and browse around. Splash plays for the day. I mean, Jalen Duren, I think, has to be one. That's not a brave take, but it is still the one. I do like playing Luka and Austin Reeves. Playing at least one of them to me feels like a decent move. Playing both, I'll still do some of, but I think at least one feels good. I'm not as crazy about Ron Holland as Stokastic is, but he does project for 25 fantasy points for me with a $4,300 salary, so I think he should be one. Derek Queen, I like a little bit more. Nurkic, I definitely like more than Stokastic, with the caveat that I would feel really good about it if I knew Gobert wasn't playing. Jeremiah Fears. Throw Desmond Bane in. Anthony Black. I'm just listing guys I'm going to get a lot of exposure to today. But at this point, I think we've named more than a lineup. Alex Sarr. Just play all those guys if you can. But I appreciate all you guys being here. Again, hit that like button before you go. Catch me on the NFL Live Before Lock show on Stokastic today. So we're going sport to sport here, 7:15 Eastern for that one. And gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time here on the Splash Play channels. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Bets on YouTube, at Splash Play Pod on Twitter. And I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. And yeah, good luck. I don't know. Fuck it. Bye.